Hey everybody, welcome to Unscripted Access, episode 86. I'm your host, Bronson Fiore, joined by Anthony Ta.
Hello.
So you're probably wondering, where is everyone? Well, Kyrie had a huge paper to work on. Nick is still horribly sick, and we wish him well. And Bremen works graveyard, so he's out. So that means you are back on Mr. Fiore's wild ride.
Oh boy.
Anthony, how you doing? You feeling good?
I'm feeling okay.
Feeling okay? Okay?
Well, I'm feeling okay. Lots of things happen. But also it's getting close to college finals yet again when projects are due and stress goes up and through the roof. Yeah. It's so great, y'all. Anyways, I don't want to talk about too much about college stress life, so yeah.
I can't talk, like, my new job kind of requires a lot of confidentiality because politics. But man, dude, like, some people just are not happy when you call them. Just so mad, just so unbelievably mad. Like, and so fun fact, everyone here though, if you're on the do not call list, this does not exclude you from political surveys. Just, yeah. So just so you know, so like, the next time you get a political survey and you scream, "I'm on the do not call list," you look like a dumbass because it doesn't exclude you from political surveys. Anyway, moving forward. Hey, video game news. Lots of news this week, actually.
A lot of news. Is it big news or small news?
And medium news.
Medium. That's a new one.
Medium news.
All right.
So I guess we'll talk about the one that you and I are obviously the most excited for. PS4 update 1.7 is coming soon. It will have Share Factory, a new rich video editor app that you can use to edit videos together from multiple games, and will include picture-in-picture with PlayStation camera. It allows you to import your own original music, and it allows you to share them to social network, use filters, edit clips from different games together, and add your own commentary over them also.
So Sony is providing all those tools onto the PS4, so everybody can now drive all those commentators on YouTube out of business. Sweet!
So, basically, Anthony and I, for PS4 games, we might not even have to, take...
We don't have a job anymore.
Well, fuck. God damn it. All you fuckers are gonna take our job. You know, you bastards. You bastards. Oh no. Most of you can't be as hilarious as I am. So that's
You'll be
good
surprised.
News. Well, I know a lot of people in real life, and most people aren't funny. So, the other thing they're doing is they're adding it so you can share videos to Facebook or export them to external USB storage along with regular clips. Let's see. You can switch off HDCP protection.
Switch off. Sweet.
So you just go into the settings and you change it. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Alright.
So, one thing these new consoles have done is enable digital downloads to be the thing.
Wait. I actually want to talk a bit more about the share and editor thing.
Okay, yeah, good.
So, honestly, though, if I were to look past my slight annoyance by the fact that Bronson and I now have to work extra hard to make our commentary worth it to the sea of hundreds of thousands of new commentaries that are going to surface because of this patch and update, if I were to look past that, this actually might be a good thing, because in the old days, to do commentary like this, you needed a lot of stuff, expensive stuff even. Or maybe it's free if you're a pirate.
Do what you want because a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
Thank you for that plug-in. But in the old days, it wasn't cheap to do this kind of stuff because, you know, you had to get capture software, and that was hard because a lot of the capture software, not really that good. Mediocre. Like, there's probably
minimum,
probably lag to the TV. The software doesn't work 100%. Heck, even our Roxio capture unit has clearly shown signs of driving me and Bronson crazy with the number of times it's been breaking down.
fucking crashes so much.
It crashes. It's slow. It's buggy.
You turn the PlayStation off, crashes. You switch to a different. You
the
switch
video
from
actually comes out
720 to
okay,
1080,
but it gives you a heart attack.
crashes. Yeah, like you fucking tap the laptop, crashes.
Yeah, like it broke down
Fly
a lot.
lands on the capture card, crashes.
Wiggle the USB. Your laptop blue screens.
The fucking.
And I know it's the capture card because this doesn't happen with any other USB device I have. Yeah, the stuff like that. And not to mention, this Roxio capture card was $150. So you're paying $150 for a pretty meh product. And yes, I gave the product a 8.5, but that did not account for long-term ownership. Actually, that's another thing about reviews that people need to be aware of, is that when people review hardware products, whether it's computer hardware or cars or, basically things in general, they usually don't account for long-term ownership because they only usually review that product maybe about a week or 2 weeks after they received it. So they don't know what it's like to live with. This is especially true with a car. A car could be perfectly reliable in that week that they had it, but if they had it for like 5 years, they suddenly realize, man, it breaks down a lot. I don't like it because it's too much of a hassle. Stuff like that. So that's why they're actually... Anyways, that's the side part. But $150 for questionably good capture software. Then you need microphones. Gotta buy some microphones, right? Many microphones out there. You want to go for a cheap headset or expensive headset. And then comes the other hard part. Video editing. Ooh, man. If you can play around with Windows XP well enough, you can get a pretty decent commentary video using just Windows Movie Maker. But that's not going to really work too well. So, basically, getting the tools to do it is very hard. And you know what? If you're a person who ever wanted to try again, and gaming commentary is huge, okay? It's so huge. Like, this is like top stuff on YouTube because it's part of gaming culture. It's important to commentate on games because everyone wants to know how you feel about it, and you can be very funny about it. It's like talk shows, only games, kind of sort. So I think Sony bringing in the share feature and the video editing is making it a lot easier for people who have always wanted to commentate can now commentate. They just make it harder for me and Bronson to.
The thing is, though, is
to deliver good stuff.
So Aaron and I discovered. So this is gonna be long. One thing that we do differently than a lot of other sites and a lot of other commentators, even a lot of YouTube commentators, is we do long form video. And you're probably gonna wonder what the fuck is long form video. Have you noticed how everything we make is the shortest of it is 15 minutes? Like the absolute shortest. And if we're up to me, 60-minute access would just be one weekly video, but compromises were made. That's all I'm going to say. And the reason is because a lot of people just want to see long-form video. That a lot of sites thrive on that. Some sites don't. I know Giant Bomb thrives on long-form. I know several YouTubers that do. And then, some people prefer short form. IGN is short form video. How often do you see a video on IGN go over 15 minutes? Never.
Yeah, it's like they do stuff like the Daily Fix, weekly news recap, bam, 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 done.
Yeah.
Stuff to, wake you up in the morning.
Yeah, like we just happen to, I personally like long form video. It's more detailed, it's more in depth, you get to see more inside what their thought process is.
You say long form video and you're just like, dear goodness, even my video reviews fit into that long form video category. 15 minutes of me talking about Final Fantasy 14. And even if you exclude MMOs, I was like talking about the last story for like 8 minutes.
Which that's kind of long for a review.
Yeah, video reviews are normally like 5 to 7 minutes at most.
Yeah, so
and I'm like making like 8 to 10 minutes. It's just like, oh my goodness, like, yeah. Anyways, tangent.
So, and the PS4 still only records the last 15 minutes of footage. So that's
I think that's an advantage that the capture software of still has an advantage over. It's like for example, like our Roxy unit, as broken as it is, we can let it run for a straight hour.
2 hours if we want. We've done 2 hour sessions.
We can run it for a straight hour of 1080p recording, and it will do it. Because it's running on a separate computer. It's not running off the operating system itself, so it's just like this dedicated device, which still, and you can go back and you can edit everything for however long you recorded, and you also get to be selective about what you record. It's like, I just want to record this section, I just want to record that section, and then when you go into your editing software, you find the pieces of footage you need and just slip it out, like a past hour, just find pieces of it instead of just the last 15 minutes.
Exactly. Like I said, I like, in the future, I think long form video is going to grow, and same thing with podcasts. Like I know a lot of people, that's actually a con that Nick and I don't agree on everything, obviously, and I don't, and the staff in general. If we did, then this site would be incredibly boring. And that's life in general. And a lot of people prefer short form video. And a lot of people prefer long form, and I think that long form is going to be very successful. I think that a lot of a lot of people say, well, the internet. A lot of people got YouTube videos because they're like 10 minutes long. I think the general public, yeah, but I know a lot of hardcore gamers who want to see more than 10 minutes of a game. But
with long form video, you get more information.
Yeah.
Which may or may not be for you. Like, for some people, they just want the basics, the gist of things. And that's perfectly fine, because, you want to quickly know about something. Like, for example, news recap. I want to quickly know about the news today in video form. And
yeah, but
there is actually a show for you for that. And but then there are people who are like, I am very interested in, say, what's the game that we play? Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, but I don't know it well enough. Okay, well, let's watch 1 hour of us playing through it and seeing us react during the recording live to what we think about it.
Which, yes, and I'm going to be honest, we totally stole that shit from Giant Bomb. Not even going to lie. Because it's a great idea, and no one else does it besides them. And then we do it now.
Competition's good.
Yeah, like it's a fucking brilliant idea, and in my opinion, it actually works better than reviews sometimes.
Like I said, you get to see 60 minutes straight, or if you cut out all the part 1, part 2, part 3 things. If you cut all that out, then you're basically seeing 60 minutes of us playing a game and us reacting live to it. And yes, some of the reactions seem dumb. Like, I remember one person got particularly annoyed by the fact that I complained that Player 2 in PlayStation All-Stars doesn't correspond to Player 2 controller. But to me, that was a problem, because that's like a minor ergonomic problem, but even then, that's very confusing. That's like saying the brake pedal is actually the gas. Like, it's just like, no big deal, just get used to it. But it's really confusing when Player 2 on the screen is the Player 2 controller. It makes sense that way. That's how it is. Common sense. But it wasn't like that. But anyways, that's something like that. But anyways,
I mean, and the thing is, it's also proven in our shows, because our shows keep growing. Like, we're at, I could not believe the numbers on our Final Fantasy X video. That was shocking.
I was like, this is a game of a remake.
Yeah,
it's a remake.
I knew that video. I kind of had an idea that video was gonna do okay. I thought, oh, okay, well, people are excited, I guess. And I go and I was like, oh wow, it's been a week and already has 20,000. Wow, that did really well. 1 week later, 35,000. Yesterday, 39,000. Dear Jesus.
I think the last time I got numbers like that was Grand Theft Auto 5 or something.
Yeah, so our shows are growing, so that in our podcast, you guys always want us to do these ridiculously long podcasts, which we love doing them, but oh god, we love doing them, but sometimes they can be tiring. Not gonna lie, because we record them late at
Yeah.
night. But yeah, man, I. So I don't know. Like, what do you guys prefer? Do you guys want longer videos still? Like, because if so,
I have a feeling that the length that we're doing them now is good.
I
Because
would agree.
a 30-minute straight video is, ooh. Man, that's... I mean, I know you can pause it, but that's kind of like you're committed to having to watch all 30 minutes of it in one sitting. It's like a TV show. It's like a TV show.
I'd say that 20 minutes is about the limit, in my opinion, for single sitting internet videos. That might just be me saying that, but I don't know. So yeah. Man, the internet's weird. It's a weird place.
The internet is like kind of like the world. There are many, many, many different kinds of people with many, many different interests.
Indeed.
I mean, like I said, I don't really have interest. Personally, I don't have much interest in things that go on like 15 or 30 minutes unless they really interest me. I guess I'm a bit more of a short form video kind of guy. Because my attention span is not very good, apparently.
See, and me, I like to multitask, and I like long form anyway because I like to get engrossed in something. So, like, I was having this conversation with Felix. Felix really likes The Patch, the Rooster Teeth podcast. It's 55 minutes long, and they go boom, 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 boom down a list of topics. I personally really like the Giant Bombcast, which, if you listen to that, you know that shit just goes off the rails.
Gee, Bronson, I wonder what else goes off the rails.
Man. So I don't know. That's obviously everyone has different preference. So who knows? Anyway, the next news story is Halo and Destiny composer says he was fired by Bungie, quote, without cause. Thoughts?
This is his last name is O'Donnell, right?
Yep.
Okay. You really start to suspect something is wrong when the person that got fired complains that he got fired without cause.
Yep.
Something's wrong there. And I'm pretty sure that the next immediate gut reaction is, oh shit, Activision's enforcing the hammer of corporate at Bungie now. Bungie's ruined.
What has Activision done? That's everyone's first response.
Yeah, like that's the gut feeling because like, oh my goodness, Activision is the soulless monster of a mega corporation that cares nothing but profits and lacks soul. And because O'Donnell had soul, he got fired for, refusing to comply with Gray. Oh no, Activision's the great evil here. But at the same time, if we're going to be kind of fair about this, we don't exactly know why he got fired, and apparently he doesn't know why he got fired either. So if he's saying that he got fired without cause.
I have almost the majority of the music that man has made on CD, and he's a fucking amazing composer, and whatever studio picks him up is going to be fucking lucky. They have just picked up a fantastic composer.
If he is fired without cause somehow, I have a feeling he won't join a big studio that's owned by some mega corporation, unless it's Sony. Because you think about it, I don't think he's going to go to EA because, EA kind of has that same sense of evil as Activision. Maybe worse, considering that EA consistently gets voted the worst company in America. Which, funny, internet, very funny. But you know what? There are companies out there that are far worse than EA. EA didn't cause Oh man, I don't want to talk about this. I'm gonna avoid it right now so we don't get political. But EA didn't cause a giant oil spill out in the Gulf of Mexico, by the way, that destroyed a coastline for a little while.
Yeah,
and let me put it that way. The most they did was they made your hobby a little more difficult to enjoy. Anyways, moving on before this gets too political. Yeah, like I have a sense that he won't join EA, so because he has that sense of evil about them. No idea where he's gonna go. I'm pretty sure that some big studio out there with a lot of money that isn't under a evil brand, like I would say, like maybe something Sony related, maybe something Sega related. You don't know. Heck, if he goes to Nintendo, we have no idea.
If I had to go by the vibe of Bungie was a very loose studio. So I don't know, like what's a very studio that is very loose?
Well, we don't want to say Naughty Dog because Amy Hennig got ousted from there.
Yeah.
So that's probably not a good sign to go over there for now. Santa Monica just had layoffs. Man, it's just wow. The game industry just suddenly looked like a much harder place for famous people to go through. Yeah, I really don't know. It might be a smaller studio. That's what could happen. I mean, that's what Nobuo Uematsu did. He left Square Enix. He's still doing a couple small things for Square Enix, but mostly he is doing his own music studio now, and still writes music for Hironobu Sakaguchi for Miss Walker and stuff like that. So maybe that will happen, but I have no idea where O'Donnell's going to go next.
I love his music. He made some of the most iconic music in video games, especially of the 2000s. So we'll see.
Man, I really don't. Like I said, I have no idea what happened, and he doesn't know what happened either. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone out and said, "I got fired without cause." He doesn't know, and man, we all want to think Activision had something to do with this.
Yeah,
it's like we're kicking out people with soul, and we're gonna put in corporate robots. Yeah, exactly. Mind
Domo
link.
Origato, Mr. Roboto Domo.
That song has too much passion, Bronson. That's not gonna work.
That's true. Anyway, onward with sales topics.
But anyways, yeah. So best of luck to him.
Yeah, best of luck to Marty.
I'm not really the biggest fan of Halo, but I highly respect the music. Like you name top music themes of the 2000s. The Halo theme is somewhere in that list.
So this is, I know this is not that related, but I figured it somewhat fit. I almost met Marty O'Donnell. But I was late by like 5 minutes.
Man, you have a lot of those cases, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like you missed Kojima, I think.
I saw Kojima leave. I was like 20 feet away. I was like, no! But I've also got to meet David Jaffe and a bunch of really awesome people like that. So, I don't know, it kind of balances out. I mean, I've met the Rooster Teeth guys like 3 times. So, and I've met the Giant Bomb guys. So, anyway, back to
this topic.
This
kind of has
what happened. What happened was it was PAX 2011, and it was Sunday, and I decided to sleep in a little bit instead of because I was dying basically. Because Sunday, the last morning of PAX, you are so tired.
And it's made worse because there's a Monday now.
Yeah, which, man, that's going to be awesome this year.
I don't know whether they feel joy or pain.
Like, when they first announced
Both,
it, I was like...
actually.
Like, when they first announced it, I was like, oh, yeah! And I was like, oh, no.
Yeah. Because you're like, oh, yeah, another day of PAX, and you realize, oh, no, I'm going to die even harder the day after.
So,
yeah. Anyways, I'll let you finish your story.
But, and Mark calls me, he's like, hey, get down to Hillafest, and my response is, my legs were so sore, because I was just, now before a major con, like 6 weeks out, I start walking a lot to get ready. This was not the case for PAX 2011, so my legs were super sore. And I was like, no, I'm done. I'm cool. And he's like, no, Marty O'Donnell here is here. And I'm like, oh, I'm up. I'm up. I'm up. Where's Marty? And I missed the man by 5 minutes. So that's how
that sucks.
That's how that story happened.
Yeah. But okay, so O'Donnell leaving Bungie just kind of has this vibe that maybe things are going to go downhill.
I can see that.
Quite badly. Because I've seen it happen with Mass Effect. Now, I'm pretty sure that frequent listeners of this show remember my story when I talked about how I discovered that in Mass Effect 3, they didn't have the lead writer that wrote Mass Effect 1 and 2, and they didn't have the composer that wrote the music for Mass Effect 1 and 2. They had a different composer. Yes, they had Clint Mansell there, but he only wrote like one song and a variation of that song for, the beginning and end of the game.
And that's the best song in the whole fucking game.
Yeah, and everything else was just kind of... It's kind of Mass Effect, but it just didn't have that magic. And when you're talking about a game like Mass Effect that in order to be the best it can be, it needs a good story, like things that define that franchise. Like, you don't have the head writer anymore, so you have a different writer, which now the game now becomes, in a sense, a professional fan work. They can guess what a Turian behaves based on what they know, but it's not the same as the guy who knows everything about what a Turian should do. Same thing with the music. Jack Wall. He actually does Video Game Symphony things, actually, which is pretty darn cool. Jack Wall, he wrote the music in 1 and 2. In 1, kind of cool. In 2, more grown up, but still the same Mass Effect that you love. In 3, he wasn't there. And you had some people that tried to live up to that, and they didn't really, because if the most memorable song of the game was the beginning and the end, that says might be a problem.
There's like...
Yeah, now, I'm pretty sure there's... I know there was like a couple tracks in between, like the song that plays at the club. Pretty darn cool. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure there's like a couple good ones, but it never stood out to me. And that's what happens when you have extremely good talent and then they leave. You run this terrible risk of possibly going down the hill as a studio. Now, if they left by choice, then okay, we will respect that. They wanted to leave. They decided it was time to move on. It's like how the co-founders of BioWare decided to move on into other professions. That I understand. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into detail whether they were actually ousted and were forced to resign or not, but they said they wanted to leave and do other things, so we will respect that. And BioWare hasn't really been the same since, actually. So O'Donnell leaving, yeah, he's only one person, but as the guy who wrote some of the most iconic music in our memories growing up,
yeah,
that can be a big hit. That can be a pretty major loss. And it's made worse when he says he got fired without cause, which now makes us really wonder why he got fired. And he will probably never know. Because depending on where you live, the employer doesn't have to tell you why you're fired.
Yep.
They just simply tell you, we like having you here, you're a good guy, but we have to let you go. That is the most an employer. That is probably the bare minimum that the employer is required to say to you when they let you go.
It's called living in a right-to-work state, which I didn't think Washington was, but apparently is.
I don't know, actually, if I'm honest. But depending on where you live, you can be fired. And you can be fired and they don't have to tell you why. Now, obviously, you can probably sue back at them if you can prove that there was discrimination or prejudice. Or something like that. I don't know. Not going to go too far into that. But basically, depending where you live, you will never know why you're fired.
Washington is a right-to-work state.
Yeah, depending on...
No, it's not a right-to-work state. I'm sorry. That's weird. Oh.
Okay. Well, yeah, but anyways, I want to say, depending on where you work, you can be fired, and they don't have to tell you why. That's just how life works. So there you go.
All right, so
I do wish O'Donnell the best, though, on wherever he goes next, because that guy can write music for certain.
He's incredibly talented. Yeah, like no doubt.
You know what? Maybe 343 could give him a job, actually.
Considering that Halo 4 only had one good song that stood out to me, which is the one it's the one that plays when you're flying the jet. Yeah.
Hey, there we go. We just came up with a spot that he could go back to if he wants to. Obviously, first off, he needs to want to come back there. But if he does come back there, that'd be kind of nice, actually, because Halo could use a bit more life now.
Yeah, I'm so, like... The fact that I'm more excited for Halo 2 Anniversary than I am Halo 5 kind of says something.
Yeah, but there you go.
So, moving forward, PlayStation 4. It keeps selling. It keeps selling out. You can't just go out and buy one in a lot of places. We live in Nevada, which isn't super nerdy or techy, so you can get one here. But most regular, like, cities, it's kind of hard.
7 million.
7 million units, and their attach rate is 2.93 games per console, which, considering that how small the library is so far, that's not too bad at all.
Mind you, that 2.93 does include retail and digital downloads.
Yes.
Because, they're Sony. They have all the data to say that.
So, launched in Japan, it's still selling out. Cameras especially are selling out.
Wow.
So, like, dude, it's so hard to get a camera for that fucking system now. Like, people love live streaming, apparently. Like
I said, live streaming and commentary is a huge part of gaming culture.
So, moving forward, I want
to talk about this a bit more because, we don't want to jump from topic too quickly. Yeah. But fastest, currently it is on the rate, it still is on the rate of fastest selling game system in history. Right?
Yeah.
Man, I'm tempted to say that people are actually that desperate for a new system, and now that they actually have money to buy one, they go buy one. Because game console generation usually happens every 3 or 4 years, right? But when you drag like the previous one out, like 7 or 8 years, I think people just get a little desperate for new cool things.
Well, not only that, but it's priced well. It's priced really well. Like $400 is expensive, but it's not like horrible, and it has great games. And...
Yeah, like you think about it. Oh, $400 is too expensive. Well, you kind of have to account for inflation. Like you think about it, in 2007, I do believe the standard Xbox 360 model with the 20 gigabyte hard drive was $400. In today's money, that's probably about $420. If I were to take a wild guess on inflation and that BS.
Yeah, so, you factor in inflation and a couple other factors, and, that seems about right. And and it's a great system. I love my PS4. I cannot wait till they fully flesh out all the media stuff on it like the PS3 has. But I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a great system. It deserves this. So Sony did everything right with the PS4. They could not have done a single thing better with it. They marketed it. They unveiled it right. They had a great E3. They marketed it correctly. They priced it correctly. It's had a great trickle of games. But one of my problems with the Xbox One is, as far as games go, it's been very feast or famine. You'll have a couple good games come out, and then you're starving again. A couple games comes out, starving again.
Kind of like the Wii, but not as bad.
Yeah.
Because the intervals are shorter.
Yes. In the case of the PS4, PlayStation Plus is amazing. Jim Sterling said this. Indie games are not going to sell a system. Mercenary Kings, Resogun, Outlast, and don't starve, don't sell a system, but they keep you playing it, especially if the access to them is free. And the PS4, like the PS4 has had it's the more powerful system. They did everything right, and that's why it's having PS2 levels of success. In its first couple months here. Will that continue on to the rest of its lifespan? I don't know. Most people I know personally prefer the PS4, or when they're or are looking to get a PS4 first. I know Anthony, which one are you looking at buying first?
That really depends. I'm leaning slightly on the PS4.
Uh, I mean, yeah, and most people I talk to are like that route, and I can't blame them. And just yes, Sony did a great job with this. Hopefully, they keep it up. And Xbox is still selling well. They're a couple million units behind. That's not much, as we all know. And the Xbox One could potentially have a price drop, or they could just do another, or they could keep doing these bundles. I mean, right now first off, it's pretty much already had a price drop to $450, and it comes with a game. So realistically, both these systems are $400, but the Xbox actually comes with a camera, which your value on that will vary from person to person. I find a lot of value in the camera because I'm going to be live streaming for TGA, and I want to pick one up for my PlayStation. And the Xbox has one built in, but I know that's not everyone. I don't know. Good. Sony did a good job with this.
I mean, you think about it though. I'm kind of like maybe a person who wants to. Well, actually, you know what? I don't know about that either. Sony played it safe. You think about it. If someone told me, name me one huge innovation to the PS4, and I probably wouldn't be able to name it if I were to look at hardware. Because in the past, the gaming industry has got huge leaps and bounds because of hardware. Hardware is a huge deal. Like, for example, Nintendo brought in the D-pad that actually worked, then brought in shoulder buttons, and then came the analog stick, and then came 3D. Then came sound synthesizers and sprite art, and then more 3D, and then HD happened. Like in the past, gaming had its huge leaps because of the hardware gave what's the word? New ways to make games, I guess is one way to put it.
Innovations.
The hardware, yeah, like the hardware said, like the hardware became powerful enough to make 3D polygons. That's a huge deal. But with this generation, though, the hardware feels a lot safer. It's kind of like a step forward rather than the leap forward, because these systems are just PCs, with more custom parts in it.
So one thing I would say is, I think you need more exposure to these systems, because a lot of the improvements in these systems, yeah, there's not a lot of big innovations, but there's so much quality of life stuff.
Much. The key word is hardware. Okay, now, in the case of Microsoft, they're trying to push this Kinect thing forward, but I'm still ready to figure that out. I noticed that with this generation, it's a lot more software. So the hardware is a step forward, but they're doing a lot more with software. In the case of Microsoft, they're trying to create software and hardware via the Kinect and software via the Snap thing, whereas Sony is like saying, we're going to make it easier for you to stream. We're going to make it easier for you to do cool game things. Whereas in the past, it was just like straight up hardware. As proven by the PS3, actually. They got so caught up trying to make the PS3 cell processor awesome, they forgot to create decent debugging tools for it. Which is a pretty funny story.
Yes, I agree. So the thing with the PS4, though, is like, as far as games go, I've kind of found out, like, you definitely notice, like, the first games that made me realize, like, oh, this is a step up, have been Killzone and Infamous. And in the case of the Xbox One, it has been Dead Rising. And the reason is because, like, in Infamous, I climbed to the top of the biggest building in the game, which is actually taller than the Space Needle, and like I can
The Columbia
see.
Tower.
Yes, I think yes. In the game, it's a news station, but either way,
Oh,
yes.
whoops.
But yes, the Columbia Tower. And you can, and the way it's set up is it's not actually modeled like real Seattle, but they try. Like they worried about making a good game and getting it as like Seattle as possible. And the second island, like there's two islands, and the biggest buildings on the second one, the Space Needle, and then this neon theater, or at the other one, went all the way to the top of that building, and I could see the neon theater. Like there's this theater in the first district that's just lit up with all these different colored neon lights. And like in real life, if you went to the top of a building, you could fucking see that. But on previous generations of consoles, like you couldn't do that. It would just be blur buildings. Like now, yeah, you can point out, oh yeah, there's that building, all the way on the opposite end of the map. You know, like and like that was like that's a little detail. Like same thing with Killzone. Just like Killzone has all these little details like that. And I think that as we go further in the generation, we are going to see more stuff like that.
I guess, to be honest, yes, I haven't played those games. But I guess I'm probably looking more for like the big gaming innovation instead of just evolutionary steps. Like draw distance, evolutionary. I guess you could say, in a way, it's like 4K. Like, 4K can wow us still, right? Like, to see a movie in 4K blows us away, but it wasn't the same as seeing HD for the first time. It's the same feeling I see here. Like, the first time when we saw HD gaming and we get to see those kinds of draw distances and to see our cars look that cool, that was a huge wow moment for us moving on to HD. But what I'm seeing here is kind of like similar to 4K. It's like, it's very cool. It can wow you. It is, from a technical standpoint, a big step forward, but it's not really super cutting edge that you've never seen it before, and you know that blows your mind away.
Yeah, once again though, I didn't think we saw a lot at the beginning of the early generation. Like HD was nice, and it was a step up, especially when you first saw it. But then after we got used to HD, like I didn't have a real like my first WoW moment was when I got the system. Like the 360. I'm gonna go back to 360 because like, oh, HD, holy shit. And then I really didn't have another WoW moment until I'd probably Gears of War. And then even that wasn't super wowing to me. Like I was like, oh, okay, that looks cool. Like the next true one was I would say Halo 3, and then after that it was Metal Gear 4. So I don't know, you usually get like one of those a year.
Yeah, like I guess that's maybe what I'm waiting for because yeah, I think you brought up a good point. Like I would say Forza 2, right?
Yeah.
Probably it's more like Forza 1 but prettier. And some cooler physics because of it does physics 360 times a second. Ding. You know, something like that. Like Forza 2 is pretty cool. But then you compare Forza 2 to Forza 4 and all of a sudden you got Auto Vista mode in Forza 4, you got interiors, more tracks, more physics, and then it shows, this is what HD gaming is about, kind of thing. Yeah, I could see your point in that. I guess I'm just waiting for that moment, because I'm not exactly the most wowed person. Like, graphics is nice. It's just, for me, it's like, I'm not really getting it yet.
Honestly, we're not going to see that until next year.
Yeah, at the very earliest. Because by now, it's still like a launch period.
Yeah, right now, we're still at the post-launch period. We still... Like, Destiny's coming out on PS3 and Xbox 360. It's just going to look like shit. And probably not play as well. And load times are going to be a lot longer. They'll still be there. Yeah, like, that's how Metal Gear went. Like, the difference between Metal Gear PS3, Ground Zeroes, and PS4, like, graphically and effects and stuff, it's a world of difference. And load times. But, like, if you're looking for, like, a huge revolution, Phantom Pain, which is only on the next-gen stuff. You know, like, you want that, like, same thing, like, Kingdom Hearts, that's where the big one's gonna be. And quite frankly, like, my favorite game of the year is a Wii U title so far. I finally finished Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. If you have a Wii U, you should go buy that game. Like, right now. Like, go, run. Put this on your iPod, listen to us while you go buy it. Because holy shit, that game is unbelievably good. I rented that game expecting, oh, it's going to be a really good 2D platformer. I was not expecting that much variety, that much of a challenge, and that much fun. Not by a long shot.
Wow, nice.
So
Yeah, I played it. I don't think I played it long enough, but it's like, but I could really tell it was one of those games that's like, if you fail, it's because you actually suck at the game. So get better.
Moving forward, they have released Hearthstone on iPad. Hearthstone is the incredibly popular free-to-play Heroes of Warcraft card game on the PC. They have now put it on iPad. And they have also announced that they are going to be releasing their first expansion pack called The Curse of Noxramas, which will include 30 new cards and a special single-player mode. Anthony,
Okay.
why have you not played this game yet? Because it is free. It is literally free. You pay
Probably
nothing.
because no one ever asked me to. We had it on like 60-minute access. I know that, but it wasn't like someone ever actually like pressured me to start playing it.
You should start playing it. It's really good. Like, I don't play it a lot, but like it's kind of like the perfect. Oh man, I'm gonna sit down and play some Hearthstone. Like, burn 15 minutes. Quite honestly, it's a perfect iPad game. Like, I've looked into an iPad a couple times, changed my mind, but this is a perfect iPad game. So right on, Blizzard. Now you just need to get that phone port working. I don't know. It has a lot of charm. I like the way the animations work in the game. It's a fun game. Uh, yeah, if you have a computer or an iPad, definitely look up Hearthstone. So more news coming out of PAX East was a lot of Blizzard news. Apparently, Blizzard has decided to make PAX East its own like little announcement corner, I guess, because this is the second year in a row this has happened. Uh, Moving forward, though,
Interesting.
they have announced Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition for PS4, which it is the PS4 port of that game, but it also comes with the expansion pack, all the recent patch stuff built in, some exclusive DLC, and some extra controller stuff.
While we're on the topic of Diablo, can I say that Blizzard's writers still don't really know how to write good dialogue? Or actually, I should say they're actually, you know what? I should apply this to the games too. Actually, such cheesy lines. Oh my goodness, why? Anyways, yeah.
Well,
Like they had this new expansion come out called Reaper of Souls, and they play their commercials quite a lot on the Escapist when I go there, and it's always like something line that's like, "You don't know death," and I'm just like, dear goodness, like such blandness. Sorry about that tangent there.
So I'm gonna be honest. When this eventually comes out, we are gonna do 60-minute access of it because I think it would be hilarious.
I mean, wait, we don't get to play this on computers and just burn out our mouses and just
Nope.
let them catch on fire?
Nope, we're gonna be playing all on the same screen. Just so you
That's gonna be
know,
interesting.
the console versions play more like a hack and slash action game. So just a heads up there to everyone, just so you know, Anthony.
Okay.
From what people who played the console version told me, they said it kind of reminds them of playing Gauntlet back in the day. Which, if that's the case, this might be my new favorite couch co-op game. Because I played the living shit out of Gauntlet with my friends. Going forward with more Blizzard news, they have unveiled some new heroes for Heroes of the Storm. Obviously, it being an alpha, they're still making plenty of heroes. The new heroes they announced are Lily. If you remember her, Anthony, she is Chen Stormstout's niece.
Oh yeah, those guys. That's pretty funny.
Fairy Brightwing, the fairy dragon. Zagara, which is a StarCraft character, and that spreads creep. And everyone's favorite, Murky. Murky the Murloc. So, yeah. So basically the way they did it is Lily is a support hero. She's good for new players. She's there to protect herself and allies. Brightwing is a healer type hero and can transform into enemies into animals. Zagra can drop creep tumors to spread Zerg creep, which speeds up movement speed as well as movement speed, and she can summon allies. She can also summon Nedius worms to hawk back and forth around the map. Murky is basically the joke character. But he can lay an egg, which he can use to respawn instantly upon being killed. Also, Murky is going to die a lot, but he's a hero who eventually overwhelms enemies across multiple battles. He doesn't need to win every fight, he just needs to win once. Also, they are currently working on making Chen Stormstout, Kelthus, and Sylvanas. So, yeah.
Geek out, everybody.
We will...
A Blizzard fan's dream come true.
We will discuss this far, far more whenever we get around to doing a raid. Episode of the raid.
Okay, that was a good idea.
Also, Anthony, I found out that people at UNR got into the alpha. There are esports clubs at multiple colleges around the country that are sponsored by some company. I'm forgetting the name. But all
Greenlight
of them...
Gaming?
No, not Greenlight.
Nevada Esports?
Nevada East...
No, that's not a company, sorry.
Colleges. Multiple colleges. I wish Greenlight had that much money. Multiple colleges are sponsored by this company, this really big company, and because of that, they're getting access to Heroes in the Storm alpha keys. And I'm just like, wow. God damn it. And a friend of mine in the Nevada Esports Club posted, like, I got into the alpha, and I'm just like, I want to kill you right now. And you have no idea how badly I want to play this fucking game. Oh my god. Anthony, you have no idea how bad I want to play this fucking game. Just no idea.
Oh boy.
And the wait is killing me. It's not even out of alpha yet. It's in technical alpha. Not even in beta. Like, Christ. And the good part is, it looks this goddamn good, and it's an alpha, though.
Yeah, so, well, Blizzard has a lot of talented people, so... Not really surprised.
Yeah. You can make Diablo a giant pink Murloc. Okay.
Okay.
I'm done. We'll save more for the raid. All right. So next up is a Nintendo announcement. Nintendo has special edition Mario and Luigi controllers out there, but now they're adding a pink Princess Toadstool Wiimote. It'll be pink with a white crown near the speaker and a yellow D-pad to go with the Mario and Luigi ones.
Okay. Woo?
Woo! Now that means if I ever get around to buying additional Wiimotes, all 4 of my Wiimotes will be special edition. Zelda, Mario, Luigi, and Peach.
Yay! Screw regular Wiimotes. White's boring.
And black is equally as dull.
Oh man, we're gonna be in so much trouble now.
Oh, start the racist jokes. Anyway, going forward, we have the fine folks who made Guacamelee and Mutant Blob's Attack are working on another game called Severed. They have not announced any systems. All they showed is a brief trailer. It uses their same signature kind of like 2D-ish art style. The music sounds really good. A trailer's been put out. If I had to take a guess, I'm guessing it's going to be for PC, PS4, and PS3, and Vita. Especially considering Drinkbox Studios recently said Vita owners are, quote, the shit. I'm not kidding. That is an actual quote. And the reason is because Vita owners actually buy games for their system, apparently.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what he says. Honestly, Vita owners are the fucking best. People rag on the Vita so much. I think people who rag on the Vita don't understand, at least from a business perspective, the purchasing power of Vita owners. Vita owners are serious purchasers of games. It's an amazing system. He admits the PS3 version outsold Vita, but not by much. I think that speaks to the strength of Vita to sell your game because there are so many more PS3s than Vita. But for us, the sales on Vita were really, really strong.
Okay.
So yeah, Vita is the shit. Let's see. Also, they actually have announced a couple of stuff for the Vita, as long as I'm here. Borderlands 2 is coming out May 13th for the Vita. Soul Sacrifice Delta is coming to America in May, supposedly. Along with another game called Freedom Wars. And the next game in the Tales series, or a remake of it, Tales of Heart. It originally launched on the DS in Japan in 2008, saw a re-release in 2012 called Tales of Heart R. Well, that is coming to the West on the Vita. So yeah, Tales has re-risen to promise in the West in recent years with the great Tales of Xillia and the throwback of Tales of Xillia Chronicles. Tales of Xillia 2 is on the horizon this year, and Tales of Zestria, the first Tales game, is the first Tales game to be set for a worldwide release.
Okay.
Anthony, thoughts on Tales? Tales games, thoughts?
Well, I've only played Tales of Xillia, and a very well-rounded game.
Yeah.
And I guess that's one of the problems I had with it, was that it was so well-rounded that it was hard to find like a super highlight. Because when we look at things, we always one of the things that can sway a person to purchase something is a wow factor, right?
Yeah.
Like with a Zelda game, it would be the incredible gameplay. With Saints Row, it would be the sheer amount of crazy things you can do as President of the United States. You know, so stuff like that. Like, you look for wow factor. Tales of Xillia didn't actually have that. Instead, what it did have was that there was nothing really bad about it, if I remember, and it was so well rounded there wasn't much to find. But you know what? That doesn't mean it's bad. It's actually very good. It plays well, good art. Technically, it could have looked better. Story's alright. I mean, it's annoying at times, but it works pretty well.
I really liked the music.
Music is good. Music is good. It's a likable, respectable game, and not much to jump up and say, yeah, Tales of Xillia is the shit. No, you wouldn't really be saying that, but it's good. But that's like the only Tales game I've played. So I think Symphonia is the one that everyone loves so much.
That was the one on the GameCube. A lot of people like that one. They just re-released it, so I mean.
Yeah, I think Symphonia is the one that people absolutely adored. So maybe Tales of Xillia isn't exactly a highlight for the franchise. So as for its sequel, it's gonna be interesting. I'm not exactly stoked for it because, Xillia wasn't exactly the greatest thing ever. So it's gonna be interesting, really.
Yeah, you're gonna be reviewing those if we get copies, though.
Oh boy.
So, one last minute news story here. Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn across all three systems has reached 2 million players.
Wow, that's actually pretty darn good.
Way to be, guys. Good job.
I'm quite surprised by that, if I'm honest, because when the game first came, Final Fantasy XIV, to be honest, didn't really have a very good history to start. We know about that. This was like back in 2010 when Final Fantasy was having really dark days. 13 was
I wrote I wrote an incredibly long article about the history of Final Fantasy, which
At the
ever
time
ever
at the time you wrote it, not a good time for the franchise.
yeah, like the last like three paragraphs are like, oh man, this is just
This franchise
horrible.
is doomed unless they can do something to turn it around, right? But yep, but back in 2010, dark days. Okay, outside of Japan, Final Fantasy 13, huge disappointment. It just wasn't what people were expecting. You didn't have you didn't have gameplay that felt like it was involving you. Oh, sure, it was complicated, but wasn't that particularly good. Caused some fans like Joe to go on intense rants that were very entertaining. Final Fantasy 14, the original 14, 1.0,
No.
worst main series Final Fantasy game ever. Came out about the same year actually as 13. 13 Versus, the game that everyone desperately wanted for their PS3s, stuck in limbo. No one knew anything about it. We joked that there was only one person working on it. And, yeah, they were really dark days. And, anyways, the idea was that 14, when it first came out, was absolutely terrible. Economies destroyed. Gameplay wasn't even that good. And, believe it or not, I think he was just a regular producer or something like that. He was then put as director because the head guy had to resign. And now he and and most of that same team, I believe, had to fix the mess they made. So they did. And they did a very good job. It's basically a game that's only about 70 or 80% as good as Warcraft from a gameplay standpoint, but with a Final Fantasy face on it. So I was thinking, you know what? I really love this game. This is like the kind of game where people just need good standard MMO gameplay, but with a Final Fantasy style. And that clicked with me extremely well. Yes, you can call it a cookie cutter MMO, because that's what it kind of is. Just has Final Fantasy frosting on it. I guess that's one way to put it. But I didn't expect it to explode, because it's like, it's a Japanese game in America. Yeah, it's successful. It's quite successful in Japan, but that makes sense. It's like, it's Japanese. It's Warcraft plays better. Warcraft is better established. And to be honest, Elder Scrolls Online is like on its way. Like, this game has some tough competition. Actually, if you're an MMO, if you're planning on making an MMO, not only is it a huge risk because you gotta talk about budget, creating a huge world, and you have to continue to support the game and hope that your players stay to help support your game, financially at least. And I was thinking, yeah, the MMO market is just crowded. I mean, it's just so many people are making MMOs just to get a slice of that Warcraft pie, and they're slowly getting there, but they're not really all the way there yet. And
Warcraft actually got some of its pie back.
Yeah, it got some of its pie back, but
the game is back to growing. Granted, not nearly as fast.
Yeah, I know, but it stopped. It temporarily stopped declining in subscriptions. Yeah. But like, they're trying to get that piece of that Warcraft pie because World of Warcraft. That was something that kind of defined the 2000s of gaming, actually. And for Final Fantasy 14 to reach 2 million, very good job, guys. Very good. I like Final Fantasy 14 a lot, and to see a game do this well, that's very good. Surprising. Is that active subscriptions, can I just say? Or is it just copies sold?
I think it might be copies sold. I'm not sure.
I'm tempted to say it might be copies sold, but even then, that's pretty darn good because so many games have tried to outdo Warcraft and couldn't. They tried to be like the next cutting edge of MMOs. Like, I think the last one.
And the problem is, Blizzard's just like, oh yeah, okay, well, we'll just put what like all these fucking MMOs come in and it's like, oh, check out this rad new feature, and Blizzard's like, oh well, yeah, that's gonna be our next patch. Or that's going to be our next expansion. I mean, it's just like, well, fuck, why should I move then?
Like, you have to be radically different in that case. Like, don't make, like, an extension. I guess what you're saying is don't make an extension because that extension is going to become part of the standard formula later, right? You kind of have to be a little bit radically different. Like, in the case of Guild Wars, there's none of that Trinity system, they call it, right? They don't have a conventional Trinity system, so I guess that's what makes Guild Wars quite unique. EVE Online. It's not really a traditional MMO in that case at all. It's freaking corporations where Ponzi schemes happen. And it's unbelievable when you read a story like that.
It's hilarious. And then
I remember, and I think you shared a story about how this one person or one group forgot to pay the rent, and it sparked an all-out war.
Yep.
Over those territories, like stuff like that. Like EVE Online's not that big from a subscriber standpoint, but man, do you get those crazy stories? Like stuff like that, like so distinct from from Warcraft that it's like its own thing, really. And in the meantime, like you got Knights of the Old Republic. You have Star Wars: The Old Republic, which was the thing everyone talked about. Now, this is back in BioWare's heyday, okay? This is when they were very good at what they did. It's a different studio, but the BioWare name meant a lot. And it came out, got the blank check on that thing. Everything is voice acted. Holy crap. Like, I believe the budget was like $100 million. And people found out the endgame wasn't very good. And they left. And EA was optimistic and said, oh, we're making money back on it at a reasonable rate. But I don't know if they ever did. But it was just kind of one of those things that couldn't take down Warcraft. And then you had Guild Wars 2, which is sort of its own different thing, which is good. And then there's Final Fantasy 14, which is 80% of Warcraft with Final Fantasy.
All right, well, we can't keep talking about MMOs like this because,
At least I'm keeping it in a level where people can understand what I'm saying.
Know, but
do you want me to? No, I'm not.
No, I am saying that if we keep talking about it, we will go into full on. We'll just fucking nerd out and whatnot. So
okay, well, we're gonna stop talking about Final Fantasy 14, but congrats to the Final Fantasy 14 team because I really like that game. I tried to give that game a very passionate video review, and if they saw it, I hope they like it. But good job, I really like it. Speaking of it, the Elder Scrolls Online came out freaking like 2 weeks ago, actually. We never got around to talking about that because of betas, and we couldn't really talk about the betas at the time because we actually do read the super long lawyer notice that they always have you accept or decline. So that came out, and it's looking okay, mediocre. Depends on your viewpoint, actually.
I've heard it. I've heard it's okay. Like I haven't heard people be like, "Oh, it's fucking amazeballs," but I've heard it. I heard it's okay, and I have heard all these stories about werewolves and vampires that are fucking hilarious.
Everyone basically, it's everyone tries to be a vampire or werewolf, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you try to do in Elder Scrolls games, is that being a vampire werewolf is super cool. Here's the problem. If everybody's a vampire and a werewolf, how are you cool? Because I do understand that the concept of being cool is that you're kind of different and unique in some new way, right? It's like the color pink. You wear a pink shirt in public. Nobody really wears pink in public. You kind of stand out. It can be cool. But if everyone wears a pink shirt, you just blend in. So if everybody's a vampire or a werewolf, what makes that so special? I like, there's really no appeal. Because in Elder Scrolls, there's appeal to being a vampire. And heck, in Oblivion, I flat out went out and became a vampire. I kept it at stage 1 so no one got suspicious, and that I can actually survive in daylight. But, being a vampire in Elder Scrolls is cool because you are like one of only like 100 vampires in that entire freaking game. Maybe even only 10. Yeah. That's cool. In an MMO, if everyone is a vampire, you just joined the mainstream, people, by being a vampire. Yeah. Actually, it might get to the point where being normal is hip and cool. But I don't know about that. That's pretty interesting. Elder Scrolls Online doesn't interest me one bit. Now, I was actually concerned at one point that this game would become the next Warcraft. Because you think about it, back when, before Warcraft came out, EverQuest was the thing, and here was Blizzard, a company that has only made real-time strategy games. Up to this point, is now bringing out this big MMO based on a reasonably successful franchise. But they're not bringing out this MMO, and I don't know what the EverQuest people were thinking. But they probably weren't too concerned, and guess what? Killed EverQuest. Became the biggest PC game ever in its day. Started a cultural phenomenon and stayed that way for a very long time. I thought Elder Scrolls Online was going to be like that too, because when the game was announced, everyone was still on the high of Skyrim. Like, Skyrim is like the next big thing that everyone loved, even though I thought it was overrated. Very good, but overrated. And I was like, man, Elder Scrolls Online, I mean, everyone is loving Skyrim, and those who are liking Skyrim are thinking, oh my goodness, now I can take the Skyrim experience online. And I was kind of like, oh boy, it's probably not going to kill Warcraft, but a little part of my brain thinks it will. And then I tried the beta. And then at that point I decided, yeah, this thing is not going to kill Warcraft. Not to mention it also had one of the most generic cinematic trailers I've ever seen. The cinematic trailer was just like, elven woman assassin randomly stabs a man and then walks angrily towards the camera, and I'm just like, that looks pretty generic. Actually, the cinematic looked like a mishmash between Elder Scrolls, Dragon Age, Warcraft, and I forgot what some other game was. I forgot what the fourth one was. It looked like a mishmash, and it looked like the most generic cinematic ever. Just have them do cool backflips and stab people and climb buildings, and I couldn't get a good MMO sense out of it. But anyway, since the game is actually out, I can share about the beta. Mind you, these are impressions of the beta. The game may have gotten a lot better since the beta, and that's totally possible. So, don't trust this opinion's outdated. When I played the beta, I didn't like it very much. It felt like it is Elder Scrolls. You attack like Elder Scrolls and you block like Elder Scrolls, but it's worse than Skyrim. It's clunkier and clumsier. And the questing system I didn't feel like was working out too well. It's just like, welcome, you're in a prison again, and it's time to get out of this crazy world again, and follow us and listen to us talk. Do all that, walk around, get out, and they throw you onto an island. At least in that beta, they threw you onto an island, and some things really creeped me out. The first off is that it had the Dragon Age quality of painting everything in this brown paste. Like in Dragon Age, there was like a generic brown color just coating everything, because it was so heavily compressed, and I just like styrofoam trees. And in Elder Scrolls Online, it was like, oh my goodness, I'm ready to find the styrofoam tree, because everything looked a little bit too brown. And then it sent me on some quests like rescue people at the beach, and then I found another problem. The voice acting creeped me out. Actually, it wasn't even voice acting. It was computerized voices. I don't know if they changed it or made it better, but it was creepy. How are you doing today? The ship crashed here, and I got some comrades that are hurt. Wow, was that kind of scary. Like, I can't play a game that talks like that.
Welcome to the Enrichment Center.
At least GLaDOS actually had interesting personality. In that case, I was just like listening to some Uncanny Valley creepiness.
I forgot. Do you have the PC version of Portal 2?
No, I don't.
Damn, I was about to say we should play that co-op sometime. Anyway,
well, we totally could. I just need to wait for the Steam sale to happen.
Yeah.
By the way, 3 months, everybody.
In a month, or like in 2 or 3 months, it's gonna be like $1. Anyway, so we normally close the show with user questions and comments, but the site is down because the people who host our stuff are fuck-ups, I guess.
Let me guess, that button still doesn't work.
Yeah, but luckily for you fine folks, Some of you send shit to my PSN inbox. So hold on.
Sweet.
Give me a minute while I turn on my Vita. So, and also I remember the first. I actually do remember the first comment. PAX East looked cool. What do you guys think? And how excited are you guys for E3? Well, I don't know if we're going to E3 yet, but I'm excited for the announcements. And if we do go, dude, Bayonetta and Heroes of the Storm, cannot wait. Want to play. Anthony?
Things I'm excited about for E3?
If we go and if we don't go. If we don't go, it's obviously just news. But if we do
If
go,
I don't go, man, it's kind of hard to get excited, really. I'm looking for more reasons to be heavily compulsed into a PlayStation, or maybe even in a bigger case, or even in a more extreme case, maybe even an Xbox One. Who knows? Because I'm kind of split between the two systems right now, but I'm just leaning a bit on PS4. Like, Xbox One has, like, the games right now, today, that I would spend more time on, but PlayStation 4 looks like it has the better long-term future.
also,
Just how I see it.
PS4 is where Nick and I are going to be playing Destiny.
That is also true. Like E3 is going to be exciting. Just like, okay, I've got my Wii U. Now, can PlayStation and Xbox deliver, like, some extreme reasons why I should really get a PS4 or an Xbox One this year, or early next year before the next E3. That's gonna be pretty interesting because when Sony came out and talked about like the last E3, man, boy, do times change fast. Xbox One went from like the world's most unlikable console to a decent system, and the PlayStation 4 pretty much nailed almost everything in the eyes of most people. So,
all right, well,
I am looking at but what am I specifically looking for? RPGs is probably a good place to start because I like RPGs. Like, if they somehow walked up and says Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming to the next generation, oh man, that's gonna sucker me in really hard.
Capcom's working on something by that team right now. I forgot what it's called.
Mind you, that's also, I think, the same general. It's
called Deep Down. It's called Deep Down.
Oh, okay.
Look up the trailer for Deep Down.
Okay, maybe I'll look into that. But
no, dude, it seems something like you would seriously dig. I'm not kidding.
Mind you, that. But I've said this before. Dragon's Dogma, and Resident Evil 6 has the same producer and director, I think. Which is a cause for concern because they did a very good job with Dragon's Dogma and I loved it. But Resident Evil 6, as we know, sucked.
Fucking horrible.
Yeah.
You can literally just run past everything except bosses. Like, there was literally points that
I do really remember I borrowed the game and played it for about an hour, and I'm just like, this doesn't really scream horror at all. Anyways, I think it's the same producer and director, but basically they had kind of like the same head people, and I'm just like, Dragon's Dogma, surprising success. Resident Evil 6, failure. Anyways, yeah, so the game's called Deep Down, right?
It's called Deep Down.
Okay, I'll definitely take a look at it because this next game, if it's by the same people, if the head people are the same, then I'm gonna be a little cautious. I really like Dragon's Dogma. I mean, it probably seems really boring to a lot of people because you walk a lot and don't really have a fast travel, which could be a good place to get lots of boredom. But man, the pawn system is awesome. I like the combat and the story. Yeah, it's bland, but I could see a reason why it is bland because freaking they kind of explain to you why the world seemed bland when it was all over. I really like Dragon's Dogma. It had a really cool thing going for it.
God damn it. I want to use... So, whenever we hit the next season of the raid, which I guess we'll just say episode 25, we have to use this as our fucking picture. Level out one MMO character. And just there's like a shirtless man beating crabs to death with a stick.
No, that image doesn't work for me.
So funny.
You need to look like a hobo. If you're a muscular man, that doesn't say you're a hobo.
All right. Well, anyway, we got one last question. It's from Kyo Tenchi.
Okay.
Oh, as for PAX East, I watched some of the live streams. Hilarious. And as always, watch the Giant Bomb panel. Hilarious. Yeah. Once again, I wish I was there. I had friends who were tweeting out stuff the entire time, and I'm just like, I wish Joe was there. Go play Heroes of the Storm and tell me how it is. Um, Anyway, Smash Direct was awesome. I swear that some stages were ripped straight out of Project M. Knowing this game is made at Namco Bandai, do you think they might announce future characters like Dig Dug and Klonoa, or maybe assist trophies like Mr. Driller or Galaga? For a split second, I thought the Ninja Pokemon was Naruto at the end, since Bandai makes a portion of Naruto titles.
Oh, Naruto. Oh, I don't know about that. Namco Bandai. Tails characters, maybe?
Nino Kuni characters?
Ooh, that could get some people pretty excited right there.
Sakura Wars characters?
Do we really want that?
Oh god.
Do we really want that?
Hey, they worked in Project Cross Zone.
They did. Project Cross Zone was Namco Bandai and Capcom, right?
It was Namco Bandai, Capcom, and Sega.
Okay, that's pretty. Well, you know
that was a really fun game too.
Yeah,
I still play it. I play it on bus rides and shit. It's great.
Oh man, I mean, All
right, well,
I really don't know. To be honest, though, Smash Bros. Brawl had third-party characters, but there was only like 2 of them. Sonic and Snake, that was it. So part of me is kind of pessimistic that they're going to add more, especially since we haven't really seen any details for any at this point. The 3DS version is coming out this summer, so probably not. And if there is, it's probably going to be a couple. Who knows, maybe they'll surprise us at E3 with their Nintendo Direct thing. They'll just suddenly announce, we've got third parties! And then everyone's mind will be blown. But you never know.
Alright, well, so, let's see, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, that's the end of the show. That's the end of the show. We're on iTunes. We're on YouTube. We are on Facebook, Twitter. The only thing we might do Tumblr soon. I don't know. I've been on Tumblr more often. So go find us. We're on every possible gaming network. Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, Steam, Origin. We're all in all those places. Add us, be our friend, ask us comments, all that good stuff. So yeah, that's about it. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.